Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to your Lunch Break Live. My name's Savannah. If you are new here, if you're not, thank you so much for coming back. Today is Wednesday, it's Hump Day, and we are going to talk about COVID numbers. I know we haven't done this recently here on this show. We know that our numbers have gotten a little bit better, makes all of us happy, but coronavirus is still a thing. It is still out there. It is not completely gone away. That's what we're going to talk about today. I have our own Lita Gore here. She has followed this since even before this time last year, which is so weird to say. It's been over a year, Lita, but she has kept up with these numbers daily. She's here today to talk about the recent rise in hospitalizations, the case numbers, and what our experts say that we should or shouldn't be worried about. So, Lita, thanks for coming on. I'll pull up the dashboard from the Alabama Department of Public Health in just a minute. But first, let's start with the news we got the other day. And that was that, and I'm looking down to get these numbers right, that hospitalizations linked to COVID-19 have jumped 20% in the last 2 weeks in Alabama.
Yeah, we have seen an uptick. However, what doctors are not saying, oh my gosh, this is necessarily the start of another bad trend. They're saying it's kind of an expected increase after Easter and the mask ordinance being lifted. Summer sports, we're seeing a lot of people out and about. And just for comparison, I pulled up some numbers. So we had 362 people hospitalized statewide Monday with COVID. In mid-January, we had 3,070. So you can really see, I don't think the hospital officials are necessarily freaking out. I think they are saying, just be aware. And one of the interesting things that they talked about in Alabama was they're seeing younger people. Now, younger people have better outcomes. They're not needing, ICUs and ventilators and this type of thing as much. But it's also your people who aren't vaccinated because we're vaccinating everybody 16 and older. So it's kind of a double-edged sword that we're not vaccinating younger people. So therefore, there may be some more in the hospital. It's just that wise thing of still, maintaining some semblance of paying attention to what we need to be doing.
We've got somebody saying here in the comments saying, I knew the numbers would go back up after spring break. And this does kind of fall within that 2-week period after spring break. I know you mentioned sporting events and sporting practices, spring break. We had the end of the statewide mask order. So while we don't necessarily have a direct cause and effect, right, we do have numbers that happen in that 2-week time frame after certain events occur. And we know spring break was one of those things. So, Lita, I'm going to pull up here the Alabama Department of Public Health dashboard, and this is something that we have relied on again for a year now. It tells us all of our cases, our deaths, our hospitalizations, and more. So, Lita, let's talk about counties. Do we know the counties where our cases have risen in the last 2 weeks, or where counties that are maybe doing worse right now?
Well, it's always your heavy population centers. It's your Jefferson, your Mobile, but again, we have to keep it in perspective. While we're seeing an uptick, it is not. We're not seeing like, oh my gosh. Early on, when I was tracking this, you could almost point to a particular county, and DeKalb County. That was very, very early on. You would see a certain county just really spike up, and then you would hear it was a VA home or a nursing home. That was early on in the pandemic. Tuscaloosa, same thing, had the same issue. Well, then when we got into the winter, late fall and winter, we saw community rise everywhere. Like there was no sort of place left out. Then we started seeing as vaccines picked up and numbers fall, we're seeing an increase across the state, but it is not a spike in one area. It is I don't want to call it a baseline increase, but part of me does wonder if this isn't the number we'll be looking at from here on. Mm-hmm. As we vaccinate more people, that the number, they've said a million times, coronavirus will not go away. That if this isn't sort of where we're getting close to a baseline of what we will live with, the great news in all of this is that our deaths are really, have just dropped considerably. And that's the goal, because people, even the people who have these, I think they said 200 people had breakthrough cases after they were vaccinated. Their outcomes are so much better than what we thought before.
I'm gonna look through a couple of these questions really quick. Yeah. One of my top fans, TJ here, says he's thankful for the vaccine pioneers working in the face of scrutiny and uncertainty. TJ, definitely agree with you there. We are so thankful for all of our healthcare workers and everybody out there working to get these vaccines into the arms of people who want them. So TJ brings up vaccines. We've got other questions about vaccines saying, look, you're right. We are open to vaccines in Alabama if anybody's 16 and older. So why do we have these cases happening? Why do we have these hospitalizations going up if vaccines are available? Does that mean vaccines don't work?
No, it means we've just now rolled out. Let me say this. According to the health department, the county with the highest vaccination rate in Alabama, which completed both cycles, is Hale County in the Black Belt. So you're talking Southwest, they're only at 32%. So we still have a long way to go to reach that vaccination level. And like they said, the cases are going to, I don't think this will ever be eliminated. What will happen is we won't be, there was 4 coronavirus cases today. Just like we have not reported on the flu in the past, unless you had a particularly bad flu season. Now, on the flip side, so you have Hale at 32%. If you go over to the other side of the state, so southeast part of the state, you have Russell County, it's only 12%. Now, that there may be some issues there with it's on the border, and there was some early vaccine in Georgia, so we're not real sure about that. But, we've still got a long way to go to get enough people vaccinated. The interesting part about that is we went from, oh my gosh, I can't find a vaccine, to I know I got 2 text messages yesterday. Do you need a vaccine? Come on down. You start to see that opened up, and then we're going to have to address, vaccine hesitancy, which is a whole other ball game. But the reason we're seeing the uptick is because you've got people that aren't vaccinated or within that window after they got vaccinated who get coronavirus. The outcomes they have are better. So that is a positive thing.
Mm-hmm. Lita, do we know how many people in Alabama, if any, have gotten coronavirus after their vaccines? Do we have that information?
200, roughly 200.
And is that after, do we know that of those 200, is that after 2 doses? Is that in between? Is that within a 2-week period?
Fully vaccinated people. But now, you could run into, because it's not like most people can't point to, this is the day I got coronavirus. You could say, well, did they have it and just didn't know it? Were they, all this sort of thing. But it was, I believe the last number was 180, and then they upped it to like 200. So it's a very low number, and their symptoms were milder, outcomes better. I don't think we've had any deaths.
Looking through again some of our questions here, and I'm going to give you a homework assignment while I go through. And this is from Justin. Justin mentions about a death rate. So if you want to look up that death rate, Lita, I will get to
the test.
Some of these others. I know you didn't know you were going to have a assignment
death rate
here.
From COVID?
Yes, in Alabama.
Y'all gonna ask me to do math, aren't you? Okay, y'all should know that reporters don't do math.
That's true. They do know that. We talk about this almost every day. You go for it, Lita. I'm going to look again through some of these questions. We've got several who are asking about certain counties. I'll get to that one in just a minute. I know David asked about Morgan County. Jerry asked about cases of the flu. Jerry, we did have a story, I believe last month, don't quote me on the day, from AL.com saying that the number of COVID deaths has outpaced the number of flu deaths in the past decade in Alabama.
Yeah, flu's been basically non-existent. I think there was 1 pediatric death. It's a little harder to track non-pediatric deaths because, you get elderly people that might have a lot of stuff going on. But flu has been very, very low, which is a wonderful thing because it really saved our hospitals.
Has there been, we know that there has been a pause in Alabama on the Johnson & Johnson vaccines.
Yeah.
Has that affected the vaccine rate in Alabama? Do we have the data to know that yet?
Yeah, I don't think we really have, and I'm doing math while talking, y'all. I don't think we really know that to a degree. But I think we've always been more Pfizer and Moderna anyway. Do not 100% hold me to this number, because I will do the math when I actually can do the math. We've had 523,955 cases of coronavirus. We've had 10,798 deaths. So you get a death rate of about 2% is of people who have it. Now, see, that's where it gets confusing, because it's not of the total population, it's of people who have it. So roughly 2%.
I'm getting on my phone here. I've got several people asking vaccine questions, several asking where can they get them in certain counties. So I'm on my phone trying to pull up this information. If I don't get you this information, guys, I'll come back in the comments and put that there.
Well, and let me tell you this too. Go to the Alabama Department of Public Health's website. You can Google Alabama Department of Public Health, and they have a vaccine map that can show you every place that you need to go get a vaccine. I also know, I live in North Alabama in Madison, and my Publix, my CVS, lots of places are advertising it now. And another odd place, check your your pediatrician's office, because my child's pediatrician's office is offering vaccines for adults, which I thought was kind of and it's in and out, no wait. I thought, wow, that's kind of an interesting thing. So there's your
That's a good tip
for the day. Check your pediatrician's office.
Good, helpful hint here, Lita. I think it was Sherry asking. Sherry, I was trying to pull this up on my phone. The website's not super great on my phone, so I'll get back in and give you a link there, Sherry, so you can find it. Now, questions too regarding vaccine. If you have don't get seasick. If you have a question regarding vaccine, if you are hesitant to get the vaccine and you have questions about it, you have things you want to know, or you want to fact check, etc., leave them here. I might have a special guest coming in the next couple of days who can answer some of those questions. So leave them here and let me know. Now, while we're looking again at some of these questions and these specific county questions, Lita, do you have a county map in front of you where we can look at the rates of COVID in counties?
I don't know if I've got the county map, but I do have the county vaccination, but I can get to that. Hold on just a second. While I'm doing that, and again, sorry, y'all gonna get seasick again. You get to see my thumb. Congratulations. While I'm doing that, I do need to say one of the things the health department has asked about is to please make sure that if you have an appointment through the health department and you end up with an appointment somewhere else, you get one quicker, to please call and cancel that first appointment, because what's happening is people aren't showing up. They get they make an appointment, they get a case, and they get a shot somewhere else, and then they don't cancel the first appointment. So you don't want to mess them, you don't want to keep somebody else out of it.
Looking through question about hospitalizations, saying, have hospitalizations increased since the release of the J&J vaccine, meaning the Johnson & Johnson vaccine? And TJ, I think that answer is, we don't know about that. The vaccination that you're talking about, or the vaccine you're talking about, excuse me, J&J, it's on pause right now. It's been for several weeks here in Alabama. My dates are getting mixed up. Time's blurring together. But those hospitalizations have really increased in the last 2 weeks. We know that Johnson & Johnson or Janssen vaccine was approved and started rolling out in February. So last 2 weeks is really April. So we don't, I don't know that there's a correlation there.
Yeah, I don't think we have that information yet, but we're not hearing big issues related to that. I do have a map here. They want to know about counties, as in like, where are we at right now?
Yes. And if you could even tell me the page to get to that on this dashboard, that would be helpful.
Well, that's always an adventure with the Alabama Department of Public Health website. I actually, I'm going to give a shout out, because most of you already know this. I'm actually on Bama Tracker's website. Yay, Bama Tracker. Does the yeoman's work of many things of having that. So I use BamaTracker.com. I use that when I want just a quick number. Of course, you always confirm it through the health department. So that's what I do. So I'm on BamaTracker.com's main page. If you're going to the health department's main page, you would go to, this is where it gets screwy, alabamapublichealth.gov. You'll see like some different things at the top about getting vaccinated, and it's STD Awareness Week and blah, blah, blah. If you click over to the fourth bubble, I know, you get coronavirus.com, and that's when you can link to the coronavirus dashboard. The dashboard is as government as you can ever have. And then you click on data and surveillance, and that will take you to the data and surveillance. Mine is being slow to pull up.
I've got the map up now. That's number of cases reported overall. So that is
much quicker than I am. Yeah.
So that is not over the last 2 weeks. Let me say that
Yes.
this rise we've seen is over 2 weeks. This is over the entire past year and little over a year. So the darker your blue, the more cases your county has. So I know somebody asked about Morgan County, so I will go ahead and navigate my way up to Morgan County.
Mine's in the the spinning wheel of death right here.
You might be there a while. This is actually a map that does not necessarily have the county name on it, which is fun. But you can see that
I can show
north
you Morgan County. Okay, go up.
But that is a good look at the northern Alabama region. Those really dark counties. You can see this one is Jefferson right there in the middle. Those are the more cases reported in those counties. Now, we also know some of these are the most populous counties. So we got to take that into effect. They might have more cases because they do have more people. Question here from Dana and for Dana, excuse me. And Dana said that he was wondering about Mobile. Has Mobile had more cases recently than Jefferson? Lita, do you have that answer?
No, I think you're going to see a steadier rate of increase across the board, not particularly a spike in a certain county. Mobile has, if you see a spike in Mobile, they've had some issues with some, and this has been a couple of weeks ago, but with backlog data coming in, which means, there was one day, because I've been watching the daily increase, and it's been 200, 300 statewide. And one day we had 1,000, and of course my heart dropped, and I thought, oh my gosh, here we go again. But it was old data that's coming in. So no, I think you're really seeing, like this simmer. It's a simmer. It's not a boil in any certain area. It's just kind of chugging along in all these places. We are not seeing nursing home outbreaks. We are not seeing VA outbreaks. That's all good news. You can see where you're going to have more people, more densely populated areas, you're going to have more cases. That's the bottom line.
I got a comment here from Debbie Watts, who says she's an MD. She says, I'm 1 month past my second Pfizer. I had no problems. If the virus can't spread, it can't mutate. So thank you so much, Dr. Watts, for giving us that, giving us your testimony here. Got Phil. Thank you for watching, Phil. We've got some people who say they have questions about the vaccine, Dana, and there was another person with a good question. It was Betty. I will put those on my list and we will get those answered for you. Now, Lita, I know that our health experts are saying that, yes, there is a slight rise in our hospitalizations, but they don't worry that that's the sign of another surge. Right. And can you tell us why they think that?
Well, because they're seeing, first of all, like we said, the increases among younger people who aren't vaccinated. And it's just like the physician said, if you remove a segment of the population from vulnerability, then the number of people who could catch it are much lower. And we're also seeing, like we talked about, that real sort of underlying number we may be living with, where it gets to the point where you're like, oh yeah, she's got coronavirus, or COVID, and it's not sort of this overall permeating issue that we deal with. So I think what you're seeing is the consistency, but the physicians are saying it's nothing that cannot be handled. We just want people to be smart, and it's very interesting because last summer I remember seeing days, and when everything was shut down in Madison County, we would have three cases a day, an increase of 3 cases. And I remember thinking, why in the world are we shut down? We have 3 cases. Now, of course, by fall, we were up to, 400 and 500 cases. Well, late fall, 400 or 500 cases a day in this county. You also run into questions of immunity and how long do you have antibodies? Because if a certain number have had it, a certain number are vaccinated, then you're really getting close to that. The pool of people it can infect has just gone down a lot, thankfully.
What is right now our average case number that we're adding daily in Alabama?
300. Yeah, that's probable, and that's total average, because again, you're going to see spikes based on backlog data sometimes. It has been as low as, like, I want to say, some people, some things I see confirmed, you sometimes have to add the confirmed and the probable, but around 300. And we have had days of 5,000 and 5,500, and one day of, I think, 6,000 added.
So a daily average of adding 300 cases statewide is something to be proud of at this point.
It is. I would like to see Alabama's vaccination rate go up considerably. We have been slow sort of rolling that out. But as more people, I think some people, as they got the vaccines, mid-December, that people are seeing, okay, they've done well with it. They may have been exposed but not gotten it. I think that that hesitancy might go down for some. I certainly hope it does.
And again, if you have questions because you are hesitant about the vaccine, please leave them here. Like I said, I hope to have a special guest come in who can answer those for us. A question here from Susan.
Sorry.
This is for you,
Dog
Lita.
is joining me. Sorry, we work from home, so
we love dogs. We love dogs here. Susan asks for you, Lita. What is our vaccination rate as of yesterday?
Let's see. We vaccinated 938,423. We've got roughly 4 million people, but let's take out. We're around, and I'll put the exact number in comments. I'm going to say about 25%, but I need to check that. Don't quote me on that, but I will put that in comments. I'll get you.
Susan, we'll get back to you on that. And I have one more question for you, Lita. This is something that I know we've talked about a lot internally, and that is when you get vaccinated, if you plan to get vaccinated, you will get that card. We've seen it all over social media. We have seen all types of people doing all types of things with it. So I know you wrote a story on what you shouldn't do with that COVID card. So give us those tips.
Don't laminate it. The first thing you should do is take pictures of it, the front and back, make a photocopy, put it wherever you keep your birth certificate, your social security card, somewhere safe, somewhere fireproof. Then if you want to laminate it, laminate away. They make special holders, they make carriers for them, all of those sort of things, but they're just saying that the ink on it from a laminate could be destroyed. And, we don't know what that card will be. You just want to have the card, especially I think if you fly in the future, you're probably going to need that. So don't laminate it, put it somewhere safe, just like you would your child's blue card for school or your passport, those sort of things. You just want to treat it as an official document.
Keep it with all your documents. If you're like me and you're maybe not the best at keeping up with those, give it to your mama, give it to your partner, give it to somebody who is. That is my personal advice coming from you. Obviously, the most trusted advice, obviously. Your mom usually is not going to let you down. So, Lita, thank you so much for everything. Lita, I know people have a lot of questions about this. This is something we have unfortunately lived with for over a year now, but we still want to get the most up-to-date information because this is a situation that we've been here over a year, but it's still changing every single day.
Yes, and I will, once Spike gets down, this is Spike, once he gets down and is settled, I will go in those comments and answer as we go.
Thank you, Lita. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Again, leave those comments here if you are hesitant on the vaccines. We'll get them answered for you, and we will see you tomorrow.